Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with the Superlative Podcast. My guest today is Davide Cerrato. He is now the CEO of Bremont. Davide, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Ariel. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You are always welcome when speaking to our watch enthusiast audience because you yourself are an enthusiast of enthusiasts. And
I am.
We already had, I guess, our initial chat with you now running Bremont. We were at the Dubai Watch Week 2023 event in Dubai, of course, and Bremont has a nice little exhibit there, which they've had before. And here I am chatting with Davide, same place, different role than the last time we were there together.
Exactly.
But I think more enthusiasm than I've seen in you in quite some time, in a very positive way. Now at a brand which, is new, but has had a couple of years, has come out with certain watches, has had a little bit of a legacy. And this is the first time that Bremont has called on somebody other than the founders to run the company. And you were lucky enough to find this position. So I guess the first thing that I'd like to have you say to the audience, you might say some things that you said to me, again, but going in to this brand, Bremont, a British brand, how is it different than the Swiss brands you've worked for?
It is very different because it's independent brand and is a British brand with a legacy of now 20 years. And in this sense, it's a little bit an unusual challenger. On the other side is similar to Swiss brand because we have a fantastic place in the countryside called the Wing, the premises where we have around 120 people where we design, assemble, produce, test all our watches. So when you get there in Henley-on-Thames, and every morning when I do that turn and I see the company, in the beautiful British countryside next to a polo field, could be a little bit La Chaux-de-Fonds, or or La Vallée-Joux. The setting is quite similar.
So what you're actually saying is that it's more similar than different.
It is. The company is really up to date to, I would say, Swiss standard in every possible way, which, was one of the reasons that convinced me to come. But is independent, which is very interesting in terms of creativity, in terms of freedom, and has this very unique, British edge and British point of view, which I think is really interesting, and I really believe can bring to, the watchmaking arena a little bit of interesting diversity, if I can call it.
One of the things that Bremont has done before, obviously, you were there, was to make, in multiple phases, a big push to not only have a company that was run in England, but as much as possible to have watches that were made in England. And they took a lot of steps, many even years ago, to have facilities that make cases, of course, the assembly, trying to make parts of the movement and stuff like that. I know that this was something that was near and dear to the hearts of the founders. For them and others, being able to produce a lot of it or have it done in England is a big thing. Obviously, there's a great heritage of British watchmaking, just as much as, a Switzerland or a France or something like that. But practically speaking, and again, you're a practical guy, it doesn't always make sense to make all your own stuff. And Bremont, like any sensible company, has a range of suppliers. For you, what is the priority of the made in England versus let's make a great watch that people in as many parts of the world can enjoy?
It's a very good point, Ariel, and it just shows how expert you are and how straight to the point you are. I think that definitely the Britishness is a very important element of Bremont, is the differentiator that Bremont has. But I really believe that, the focus must be on brand and product desirability and really, enhancing in terms of quality, in terms of design expression, in terms of clarity, both of our offer in terms of products and both of our brand messaging. So yeah, definitely, it's a very good point, and we are looking at that, and we are working to that, and especially for the American market, but not only for the American market. It's a very global point. There is a very strong element that is linked to value and our value proposition, and the segment in which we are competing. I know it inside out. I've spent actually 16 years of my career into this particular segment, and is a very challenging and a very exciting one. It's very challenging because, if we simplify and we say, let's say 2,000 to 5,000, just to have an idea of it in terms of pricing, where it is positioned, you are challenged to basically be capable of expressing everything that any higher end brand does in a very narrow price point. If we look at the entry of it, 2,000, 2,500, it's really challenging there to make something super sexy, super qualitative, with magnificent details, with super good quality, with fantastic after sales service. But that's also why I love it, because then if you master those elements, you can really give access to a wider audience to the beauty of watchmaking. And I think in this accessibility of having a brand that is fairly priced, I would say, that offers a very high quality at an affordable price point. I think it's one of the key elements of the mix or of the offer that you need to be capable of delivering in this segment. So, now we are really focusing on working on these brand desirability and product desirability, and we are working very much on our pricing, and I've already announced it in some of the previous interviews, but we are working to lower down our entry offer price with some diving watches that will be already proposed below 3,000, and some and a very big new collection that we are going to present at Watches and Wonders that will start at 2,500. So we are really working a lot on this element.
I want to focus on this topic for a little bit, because I think your opinion is also valuable in the greater sense. And I want to sort of put two sides of the camp here. One side is the consumer who wants a watch to be as affordable as possible. That's how consumers are. And the other side is the product maker, the watchmaker, who wants the watch to be as good as possible. Oftentimes people think like, oh, they just want to charge a lot of money. Honestly, most of the time, watchmakers just want to make as good of a product as possible, and believes that the consumer will understand this and be okay with the cost being passed on to them. The reality is that to have success in the watch industry, and this is where I want your opinion, if you agree, first of all, is about that special blend of, I was somehow able to give you good quality, but through ingenuity and being clever and maybe some luck, I was able to make it for very cheap, so you're willing to buy it. And do you agree that this is really the special mixture? It's that point where the desirability and affordability kind of meet.
Correct. And that's why, I speak more about value and about kind of fair prices that cheap or affordability, because, it's not only about doing inexpensive things. Something can be inexpensive and terrible, and inesthetic and not qualitative, and that's not the point. I mean, the challenge here is really, taking all the value, all the beauty, all the the knowledge, all the craftsmanship, all the, dedication of a company that is out there since 20 years, and just finding the way of, sharpening so much, all our setup, our organization, our processes, our suppliers, and so on, and try to, really play on this element to engage ourselves, to try to offer, a super good value for money. That's really the point. And a price and that's the balance you were speaking about. When you have the watch in your hand and you see the level of details, you see the level of finishing, you see the quality, but also you see the sophistication of the design expression, the beauty, the pleasure, the emotion that you can, if you are capable of, encapsulating all together in a watch, then, you can make that magic. And that's why I like this segment very much, because then if you nail it, and it's not always easy, but sometimes you nail it. And when you nail it, this product becomes universal. It becomes super interesting for a first comer into mechanical watchmaking, but it is also definitely, super interesting for anyone in the premium segment. And then also it becomes super interesting for huge collector that can buy anything, but because it's so cool, everyone wants to wear it. And that's where you get to an icon, and that's exactly what we are working on. Because despite Bremont is out there since some time, we have not yet found that iconical watch that embodies super powerfully the story and the DNA of the brand. And I really believe that in the new line that we are presenting at Watches and Wonders, this will pop up quite strongly.
That sounds very exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing that watch with the iconic design, as you mentioned. I know it's going to be great. But I want to go back to the discussion about manufacturing, because as a smart CEO, what you should always be looking for is a less expensive way to offer a better product so that you could have an even more competitive watch. And my question to you is, what is emerging now and maybe in the next couple of years, but what are some of the new manufacturing techniques or opportunities that allow you to make a better watch today at a good price than maybe tomorrow? Is it materials? Is it manufacturing or parts? I mean, there's always innovations. What's exciting to you there?
Many things happening all time, and many experiments, a new way of producing. We are all looking at could 3D printing one day allow you to do quantitative production in a different way, and it's not yet there. There are parts of it that there are premises of that, but there are a lot of studies and research on the movements, on silicon parts, on magnetic parts, and magnetic materials. There is since now long time research on setup that allow not to have oils inside, or and ends having movement that last more without needing to be serviced in between. In terms of materials, in terms of coatings, there is something quite interesting that that I like very much. The Superluminova, and I like very much. I'm looking on a design standpoint to what you can do with luminous materials, and as much as for cars, you have this what is called the luminous signature that is made up by the shape of the lights, and in particular the LED lights that have now become very sophisticated. I was convinced since years that there is something very strong also linked to a kind of the luminous signature of watches, and of the challenge that is, can a watch in the dark be and remain as sexy as it is in the light? And now there are really very interesting development linked to new recipe of a new version of the Superluminova that are much more intense, that last really hours compared to the few seconds that was before. Colors, a large variety of colors, while before was basically blue and green, and that's it. So yeah, there are always, I think in this area there are a lot of very interesting things that can be done, and we have seen then also trials to put some luminous materials in the straps or in the case itself. Or I think there is still so much that can be done.
Who's behind all these upgraded luminous materials? Because what you're talking about sounds really game-changing. Someone goes from having traditional luminant, which, like you said, can last a few seconds, to hours. Like, you're going to want to upgrade. When are we going to start to see these things, you think? And who's behind this? Is this a Swiss initiative? Is there a particular company behind this?
Yes. Tritech, they are the owners of the Superluminova, and they are in Swiss Germany, and they are really investing quite a lot of money on research and development. And yeah, they can offer today version of it that is much more sophisticated than what it used to be. And then they are one of the players. There are others, but these offers start to offer creative opportunities and design opportunities to offer something even more fun, even more unique, even more iconical, and we are for sure working on this, because as you know, we are really focusing on tool watches. It's really our core, and one of the characteristic of the tool watches is visibility. Is being sure that the watch is visible in any condition, in the dark. If you go out in the mountain very early morning and it's still night, and it's a very important point. Out of the fact that it can become also a very beautiful element, and can add a little bit of magic, a little bit of surprise when you see the shift of the watch from light to darkness, and all of a sudden it takes a completely different dimension.
So I'm going to go back to the question: when are we going to start to see some of these super luminova watches?
Listen, we are already integrating some of these things in the line that we will present at Watches and Wonders, and then we will, this is one of the directions on which we will definitely work.
That's fantastic. And now let's talk about movements. I don't imagine that the push to have Britishness to Bremont movements is going to go away, but it seems today that you have really more options than ever before when it comes to not only getting basic, three-hand automatic movements, but also, relatively sophisticated complications. In the past, Bremont has worked with some modules to develop some of its own displays and things like that. But for you, what is really the correct future with movement diversity and possibly investing in new displays or even new movements?
I think that it's a very, very important element. We really need to enrich our offer of complication and in a way populate our offer with a bigger variety of population. And you will already see in Watches and Wonders that there is a very strong first step into this direction. So Bremont has been used a lot GMTs, which makes a lot of sense because it's linked with the adventure, exploration, travel, and so on. But there are a lot of other complications that are, very connected with the adventure, exploration, traveling that we have not yet used. So we are definitely also working on that direction. Which one to bring in, how to populate it, and even working on something, even more sophisticated. As you say, today there are more and more opportunities to work on that side and to bring, emotion also with the technical content. So this will be a very important axis of development for the brand.
Now, I'm going to go back to a conversation that we began in Dubai, and this talked about who you report to. There are investment interests in Bremont, even though it's independent. And just in this conversation, you talked about reducing costs for the watches. Of course, there's a lot of money going into research development for new products, and then you said you need to sort of boost brand desirability and awareness, which is marketing. So it sounds like there's going to not only be a lot of activity and novelty coming from Bremont, but also investment. How do you, at least from a managerial standpoint, plan on juggling all these different things? Because not only is it constantly needing to assure people that we're going to be spending for years before you expect anything, but you have to make sure all these projects are moving along properly. And what we find a lot is some of your colleagues, they tend to get stuck in one area, not the other. Like they're great administrators, but their products are boring, right? Or they're so creative, but nobody wants to work for them because they're an organizational disaster. You have to be good at all these things. Expectations are higher, and you talk about trying to juggle all this stuff.
Yes, and perhaps in this we can a little bit take back on, how we met and how I joined. I think I deeply believe into, things not happening by chance and, serendipity. And definitely, I have now more than 20 years of experience in watchmaking on several brands, in groups, in independent brands, on a global level, in different price segment and market segments. And, the company has this incredible 20-year of history, these incredible premises, and a proper setup of investors that are very dedicated, that are investing for the long term and not for the short term. So we have really a little bit of a, magic setup with, enough time to, I see my role a little bit as a translator. The brand has been building very strongly on its Britishness, and we want to scale it up to a global brand, and it definitely deserves. So, my job is taking everything that is strong and sharpening, reframing, translating it in a language that both on the design, on the branding, on the quality that is appealing to a wider audience, to a global audience, and that's what we are doing with a very, very clear agenda. You have seen we have already launched a new campaign, Take It Further, really focus on adventure and exploration, in which we strongly believe. We launched it the last 18th of October. This has informed a little bit of a strengthening, simplification, clarification of our segmentation with sea, land, and air. So sea is our supermarine diving line, and we have already proposed some new GMTs models end of October, beginning of November, and we will present some new others at Watches and Wonders. In land, it's a full new line, field watches, inspired by British military watches, but really informing like land exploration, with a new ambassador, very strong, that will be communicated a little bit along the way. And then we have the pilot one. So, we are redesigning to be, even stronger, even, sexier, and really working to get this, iconical status of our watches, recognizability, memorability, and on the other side, we have been working a lot on, I have recruited a full new C-suite of incredibly talented people. 2/3 of them are coming from watchmaking with long experiences in watchmaking, really to grow this internal knowledge and, to be capable of expressing at any level this mastery, the knowledge, the competencies, the mastery, the experience that is needed to be strong in the segment, and also in terms of operation. We have been working a lot on a big program that we call Simplify to Amplify. and that is going to allow us to improve our organization and our setup in such a way that then we can grow and offer watches to our new partners. And in terms of geographies, we are already extending our presence in US, which will be definitely the focus of our year up to end of this year. We are working in Middle East. We have extended our partnership with Ethos in India. And then once again, there is a very precise lineup for extending in other regions of the world. We are also working to be present in Switzerland, as we will be present in Watches and Wonders. We come back to the watchmaking arena in Watches and Wonders with a very big presence, in between the major brands, with a big booth, and it will be the first time that we display all of these to the world. So I'm really excited about this, and be capable of sharing it with all your followers and readers.
Thanks for sharing all that. And it's also sounds like you've hired a couple of generals to help you through all this, and that was part of your answer, that you've hired people to take care of some of these sectors because you know that you can't do it all. One question I have is with the original founders, Giles and Nick English. I presume they're still around in some capacity. Help me and others know what is the current and planned roles for the English brothers?
Yes, Nick and Giles are the founders, are an important piece of the puzzle. They are with us. They have been incredibly helpful for me to really, having the opportunity to understand deeply the whole story of the brand, the philosophy, the inceptions, everything that's been worked, everything that has been a little bit more challenging. For me, this has been of an invaluable value. They are with us. They are in the board. They are not taking care of the operation. I took over on this side, but they are with us. They are, participating to events, animation. We use very much the wing, our premises in Henley-on-Thames, to allow the people to visit. You are all invited if you pass by, and it's just 1 hour out of London, and we make a lot of presentation of events so they are absolutely part of the breathe and live of the brand.
What are they doing with their time right now? It sounds like they don't dedicate full time. Have they? Are they announced what they're doing? I haven't caught up with them in a while.
Listen, for the moment, they are fully dedicated to the company.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they're still full time. They've just said, we've exceeded our plan. We've done what we had a 20-year plan. Now it's time for someone else to carry on further after that.
Exactly, totally. And as you can imagine, they've created a company. They love it. So we are growing together.
I mean, you read about the sort of founder's dilemma and the various types of manifestations that go around how the same person can't necessarily run things forever. And it's funny, I say this as, 16 years now into running aBlogtoWatch. No one said that I should step down, but I can see how if the world changes and I don't, that can be deleterious. Sort of if you care about a brand enough or you want something you've built that needs to pivot to succeed, you're not always going to be the best one to do that. Sometimes that's a hard step to take. I know you can't speak for them, but from your vantage point, what has it been like emotionally for Nick and Giles to no longer say we're the guys in charge?
Listen, I think they are very committed, and they are really, passionate about what they have set up and what they have created. So, the best thing that a creator of something has in mind is seeing his, company, his brand growing, and be sure that the setup is such that is sustainable over the long term, and that it becomes, really an iconical brand, an iconical company. So, I think they've been also very clever to understand that, to take it further, to make it really, a powerful brand on the long term, you also need to, to get new competencies, to get new point of view, and to specialize more. I think they did really an incredible job in terms of, setting this up in England, which is a quite challenging place, to do it. And now, now the brand is grown, and in UK is very, very strong, and now it's ready to grow and to cater and appeal to other customers in other countries. And here, there is also a cultural element. Is becoming global means being capable of having a kind of universal language, and knowledge of. And this is what we are doing, So
I don't know what percentage of the business it ever was, and that's not really material, but I know for at least a while, selling watches to various types of military squadrons and alike was a very, real segment of the business. And what that is you take a watch and then you put an emblem of a military group from various militaries around the world, and you sell it as a set to members in there, and they're allowed to buy it often at a special price because they are working soldiers and various military professionals, but those are not available to the public. I know that has done a lot of interesting things and allowed Bremont to be in a lot of places it might not otherwise. It's a niche business. It's not for everyone. Is that something which is going to continue, or will you be winding that down? I'm just curious your own thoughts about that very specialized part of the Bremont company.
What has been done on this military side is really unique and very, very smart. As you say, the company, we have built up a relationship with actually more than 500 military squads around the world over time.
Wow.
And we are proposing them to create unique, customized pieces for them, which is even, I would say, more than just, putting their logo on the dial. Is really, creating very special dial with their crest, but also with modifying the numerals linked to specific meaning that those numbers have for them.
Yeah.
And is using special colors, and is sometimes modifying hands or having specific engravings on the back. So I would say that the level of customization that we offer there is quite incredible. And I think they are very happy of what we are doing. And frankly speaking, I don't know another watchmaking company that is capable over time to develop such a strong relationship with this particular segment of the market. And
it was really right. Just Breitling, right? And that was doing it in a serious way.
Yeah, absolutely. But some brands are doing one-shot things, so very few projects around. We have really a dedicated setup and dedicated team to that, and even dedicated a design team to that. And for us, is really important. Those relationships have been developed over, I think, more than 16 years. So they are very, very strong. And definitely this will continue. And we want to cater to them in offering them the pleasure of having really qualitative, beautiful watches, and then very unique and proudly showing the proud belonging to their squad or team. And also what we are looking at that is that I had the fantastic opportunity of going through the history of them, and actually is more than 500 models that have been developed during all these years, where there are incredibly interesting design cues and elements and colors and crest. And so I've been very inspired by that. I think that we'll definitely now, try to bring a little bit of that, of that sophistication, of that emotion, of that iconical elements into mainstream watches, and it can definitely, inform what we do. And the other side that is of this collaboration that is very interesting is also that they use the watches every day in what they do. So for us is a one of a kind, tested on the field, opportunity of extend our knowledge of testing. As you know, we already do this incredible collaboration with Martin Baker, the British company that does ejectable jet seat, and this is another fantastic area to get information about the performance of the watches. So yeah, very happy to have this specific dedication of the company, and definitely is a part of the DNA of the company also.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the Martin Baker relationship. I had an opportunity some years ago to visit Martin Baker in England with the English brothers, and it's a very impressive place, especially because they make nothing lethal, right? It's just life-saving stuff. And I don't know, they're one of maybe 2 or 3 companies on the planet that makes ejection seats. This is for the quote-unquote allied powers. So it's in the West, it's the friendly ejection seats. But the original concept was a watch that could survive, this large amount of G's, shock, vibration, things like that. It's not that no watch could survive, but certain watches definitely would be killed by this process. And, it led to this very durable concept with this sort of internal shock absorber. And when I learned about this, I liked it because Bremont wasn't just a company that was creating a standard watch with a nice design. There was more that was going into it. It was a legitimate effort to make a good-looking tool that could do new things. And the Martin Baker relationship it's just such a good manifestation of that ethos and that connection. I guess the question is, where do you go with that? I mean, are there going to be more Martin Baker watches? Do you make watches that can, survive the new ejection seats? Because it's such a beautiful relationship, but it's not clear how you develop it further.
It's a fantastic relationship. I had the pleasure of visiting it again quite recently, and the owners are incredibly passionate for watches and incredibly excited by what we are doing together. Very much involved of also putting a lot of ideas on the table, and definitely it's something that we will continue to develop. And the company is such an incredible company. Can you imagine having in your KPIs how many lives you saved last month? Is mind-blowing, and in terms of technology is absolutely mind-blowing. What they're up to now is incredible. One of those seats is like a car. The level of complexity is very similar to that. So,
did you see the recent Godzilla movie, G-1?
No, not yet.
So I went to see it. It's in Japanese. I went to see it in the theaters here in Los Angeles. It's really, really good. But I'll sort of get to the point. The main character is a pilot in the Japanese military, and he's a kamikaze pilot that doesn't actually do his mission. And they were talking about how, and this is sort of the second part of the movie, how the old regime had made these planes without ejection seats. This was such a scandal that they would make these planes without ejection seats. And then at the very end, they finally put an ejection seat in. And this actually ends up being a crucial plot point of the movie. So I think that you and anyone from Martin Baker will obviously get a big kick out of this, because it's actually quite rare that an ejection seat plays such a crucial role in a story, let alone a very good Godzilla one. This is like an art house Godzilla movie, right? It's not just mindless action. It's actually really, really well done. But I think you get a kick out of it, because if you see something like that, you're like, oh, wow, ejection seats are like a really big deal. And I got that after going there, but most people just do not think about this at all. And what they don't realize is the main reason for them is that the pilot's life, forget the fact that it's a human life, their educated life is too valuable. All the years it took to get them to be a pilot, to know how to operate, to work together as a team, that's just too valuable to let them die. So all this investment is first and foremost an economic decision because the pilots take too long to train and are too expensive. But it ends up being kind of like the most feel-good story in the military is, things designed to let the pilot escape the burning hulk of their vehicle.
Totally. It's an incredible company. It's really an incredible company.
So there was a recent limited edition. I think this was one of the first things that may have came out under your leadership. It was the Viper, right? The MB Viper watch, which was this. I'm not sure. I guess it was a prototype. So I got a chance to. I had one of these for a couple of weeks, and in the pictures it kind of looked funky, but then when you handle it, it was really cool. Am I correct that you made the decision to release that, or that came before you?
No, it came before you. It came before me.
Okay.
It came before me, sorry. It was launched after 2 weeks I was in the company. So
okay. It was right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Would that have been a product that you would have come out with? Because I loved it after playing with it, but it was a weird thing. I just want to know, does that represent the type of Bremont that you would lead, or is that a strange anomaly?
The second one.
Okay.
It was a funny one and a funny exercise, but yes, not exactly where we are heading.
Okay, I mean, look, it is definitely not a mainstream thing, right? But you have to agree that, I think when I had it, I was like, man, I'm so happy that Bremont did this. I know that half the company was like, guys, come on, we shouldn't make this, right?
To me, it was very interesting though, because as I told you, I was 2 weeks in the company, and I followed it with a lot of interest. And what to me was flagging is that there are a lot of people passionate about Bremont, and there are a lot of people passionate that want to see something different, something in terms of design, and that definitely was totally out of anything the company has done. So, it's not exactly that the perfect expression was the core of what we want to do, but it's very interesting that there are so many people waiting and excited to see something slightly different, because that's exactly the base on what we've been working now since 8 months, and that's exactly why we will come in Watches and Wonders with strong novelties, with new complication, with new designs, to feed, this very legitimate demand of, a little bit wider variety and a little bit more, playful, exciting watches. I think that's what we are focused on.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, because Bremont has always been good, in my opinion, of having a very conservative watch that can do well in sort of a mainstream retail environment, the conservative pilot watch, the conservative diver's watch. But then, with especially some of the limited editions, they got quite playful. So my question for you is, I'm sure that you want to continue that. And I know that you do a really good job at the conservative watch. What's pretty, what someone will pick up and say wow, that's going to go good with the colors I like. But when it comes to the weird, playful stuff, I don't think that you're going to be doing some of the same things as the English brothers, where they take apart an old plane and put parts in it. I don't think that's your style. But I am curious, what is Davide's weird Bremont's going to be like?
I think it's not about weirdness in itself. It's more about emotion and excitement, and is more also around the fact that we were speaking about the premium segment, and we are speaking about, our DNA, our purpose into this segment. And I think there is an element of it that is linked to fun, joyful watchmaking, I would call it. When you are buying those brands, you're not as a first hint expecting to have a very serious execution of a diving watch, of a pilot watch, then you need to have it for the commercial side, but you are also very much expecting for a little bit more fun, a little colors, different materials, unusual straps, elements that you don't normally find in the very, how can I call it, the very, high-end brands and established since long time, even if, it's not true, because even Rolexes come with some fun stuff, but you see what I mean, is in the segment, the real purpose and position of the segment is also to bring a little bit of excitement, a little bit of variety, a little bit of fun. I think of joy, really pure watchmaking joy. I like very much the term of joyful watchmaking. So yeah, we will play a lot on that and bring excitement, and bring colors, and bring textures, and bring new materials, and bring new shapes, working on the luminous materials on the strap. How much I like I'm focused on bracelet and strap, and comfort and wearability, and also beauty of how when you change a strap, sometimes it looks like you have a new watch. So this renovating the look of your watch. So we are definitely bring a lot of joyful additions to Bremont.
I think that's a very sensible strategy, because some people could use it as a avenue for artistic expression of, I'm going to make some crazy looking limited editions just for the art lovers. But another perspective is, like you said, you do an opportunity to make things that maybe wouldn't make sense in volume, but are really great at lower volume, whether it's particularly beautiful, a particularly expensive material, something that, just takes extra effort. But it sounds like a more traditional approach where it's exclusivity, craftsmanship, natural limitation, and you understand that this doesn't make up the core production, but because you are enthusiasts of the category, well, you just have to make cool stuff like that from time to time.
Correct.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Another question, and again, I like to get people like yours' opinion on this, is what's the right thing to do with packaging? I mean, I've seen everything from you, and as of you've worked at companies that have crazy big watch boxes, to things that are like this little thing for a $10,000 watch and everything in between. What do we do with packaging these days? I don't know that anyone quite has it right. For you, what does Bremont packaging, what should it look like? What should it do? What should it not be like?
So already, I must say, I'm very positively impressed by Bremont packaging, because we don't have almost any box.
Get that
Zero.
Leather thing, which is pretty cool.
We have leather wallet that are thinner, smaller, lighter to transport, and so on, which definitely goes already very much into the good directions. And and now we are working on that concept to try to take it further, and work definitely on the sustainability, on recyclable material, and natural material, and by the way, thank you very much for the question, because I kind of forgot to say that because we are engaging into adventure and exploration, and adventure and exploration happens a lot outdoor, we are also engaging very much, and we want to engage more and more into nature, and that's why, the GMT watches, the Supermarine that we launch in October, are developed with Ocean Ramsey, a couple that is very strongly engaged in preservation of wildlife in the oceans. And then we have been working with Laird Hamilton in US, who is very much involved into healthy living in a way, and relationship with nature. And we will build it up more and more, and it will not just be the typical greenwashing blah blah blah, but on the contrary, trying to put it really at the center of everything we do. So the packaging that we do now, these wallets are all are produced in UK. So in terms of local sourcing, and it's already very much into this direction. And now we are going to work on it to take it further in terms of material that we use, in terms of reducing the number of over layers and unuseful thing that we put on top. And yeah, but we are trying to take it further. Also, the fact that the packaging should be something that is has also a different purpose, and that makes it living after. So, the wallet are being enriched with the possibility of becoming like travel pouches, so that, it's not only the envelope in which you receive your watch the first time, but you can continue to use it when you bring your watch or your watches with you when you travel, when you are away, which is, makes it much more durable and much more sustainable. So, and then, as you say, there is no magic solution yet. But I think that already getting rid of boxes is a very good, step.
When you go on the internet and you see about people's opinions and things like that for Bremont, and I know that this is the type of thing you do. You are the type of leader that wants to know what people's opinions are. Where do you want to change opinions the most? You're not only going to be changing Bremont, but I think that, like any brand, there's people out there that have maybe fundamental misunderstandings. And now you have a vested interest as the CEO. What are some of the misconceptions that you think people may have about Bremont out there? And what are some things that you think every watch lover today should know about Bremont? Even before you started, just should know about this company that you now work for.
I think that, they should know that is an independent player that the company is existing since 20 years. So, it's a young company, but already with a significant path and history that, the company is in UK in a very positive way. So has been set up with a fantastic manufacturer as really a 360-degree, integrated watch company that is a company of incredibly passionate and dedicated people. And, I think that really brings a little bit of diversity in the watchmaking arena without being in any way, antagonistic to the Swiss world. It is a fantastic world. We are part of it. A lot of our suppliers are from Switzerland, and a lot of our partners are from Switzerland. So, and it will be a great pleasure to come back in Geneva during Watches and Wonders and being included and inclusive with the overall system of the watchmaking world.
Bremont's always had that back and forth relationship with the shows. The English brothers, I always remember with Basel. We're here, we're not, we're across the street, we're da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I love the sort of passion that the watch industry has with these shows, because no brand is immune from the love-hate relationship. And you know the importance of them, right? You know that you got to be there because you don't know who you're going to meet. You got to meet more retailers. You never know who you're going to run into. So you are enthusiastically there. But realistically speaking, for a brand your size, which is, you're not the biggest, you're definitely not the smallest, how many trade shows a year can you be asked to go to?
But anyway, Watches and Wonders is by far the number one, and I'm very happy that it has recomposed, the split between different groups and different brands. I think it becomes again, the perfect moment of celebration of watchmaking last for the world, and is much needed. We were both in Dubai, and I think the Dubai Watch Week is definitely becoming another special moment in the in the agenda of the watch lovers around the year. And then there is Geneva Watch Days, I would say, is a little bit of the third one. So there are not so many, but it's very important to continue to spread passion and excitement for watches, continue to teach and learn, to grow the knowledge about it. The most the most you get passionate about it, and I think it's really a beautiful moment of celebration of what we like and what we are passionate about. And I think we can really offer something special. Exactly what we discussed together. The ties and test with the military, the crazy test with the ejectable seat, the adventure and explorers who have been worked with, by the way, adventure, exploration was born British with, Livingston and Shackleton and Cook and all of them. So, we can really embody an expression of tool watches that is, very powerful and unique and joyful. And yeah, I think it's going to appeal to, I really believe that it's going to appeal to a lot of watch lovers. I'm really, doing my best to give them incredibly nice and sexy and interesting and exciting watches.
You will. And where I will very strongly agree with you is that the demand for what we call tool watches is not going away anytime soon. I can't even explain it, even as a watch lover, but our appetite for brand new tool watches, we need new ones every couple of days. I mean, it is incredible how fascinated we remain with these. There seems to be no limit to how we can reinvent them, the histories that we find fascinating, the new functionality materials, and with your mind at the helm there, I'm sure you'll come out with good things. The last area of question I want to explore before we end this episode has to do with, where people are going to be buying their Bremont watches. There's a big debate today with sort of the direct-to-consumer, having your own stores, third-party retail. Bremont's already done all of that. What for you is going to be the right mixture between these things so that people have a clear and smart way of buying their Bremont watches?
Listen, we, as you said, we have a number of direct boutique, especially in UK, where we have actually 11 boutique.
A lot of stores.
And then, in London alone, we have like 5. So, in UK, the brand is really capillarily present. In US, we have a boutique in Madison. We have a boutique in Hong Kong, and we have a boutique in Melbourne in Australia. So those are our direct outlet, and we are not going to expand more than these in the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
The side on what we are working is our partners in terms of wholesale, and we are trying to extend that to be much more capillary present. We work with Watches of Switzerland in UK, but we are now working with them to expand in US, and we are with Ethos in India. We are expanding in Middle East with Sediki. So we are working with very strong, reliable partners with long-term projects. And in US we are going to expand and to open a number of new outlets to give the possibility to American customers to get easy access to the brand. On the other side, we have also our e-com platform that is working and functioning very well already since a few years now. So if the customer want, they can also access that. So we cover a little bit all the different and as I said, for everyone that is traveling in UK, they can come to the Wing, our manufacturer, where we also have a boutique. So people can both visit and, if they want, buy the products. So and in London we have the oldest boutique that we have is in Mayfair, in a really a beautiful place. Easy accessible, and there since the beginning, so 20 years. So yeah, those are the
I know exactly where that little shop is.
Exactly.
It's actually amazing that there's such a massive retail footprint in the UK, and for me that's sort of one of the most interesting, I guess you could say, testimonials that a brand leveraging a UK personality does so well in the UK is a good thing, because oftentimes you could sort of say, oh, well, it's just a brand for places that have some Anglophilia and want to buy what they feel are British things. But don't get me wrong, it is that too. But that people in England have responded so well and consume so many Bremont watches, I think is a fantastic testament. I encourage everyone to go to the Bremont.com website. And in April, that's when Watches of Wonders 2024 is. the watches that Davide has been hinting at, the new collection is going to be coming out. And then maybe we'll have to have you back to talk about some of the reactions and some of those models, which we can't talk about now. Davide, anything else you want to add before we say goodbye in this episode of Superlative?
Stay tuned. I'm really excited to share with you again in April and to all the watch lover out there what we are coming with, and then, much more to come.
This has been the Superlative Podcast interview with Davide Cerrato, CEO of Bremont. Davide, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ariel. Ciao to everyone.